I think that's working. Boom, 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 boom. Let me see about fixing that, if I can. Okay. We'll see if that fixed things. There we go. Okay. I'll get started in just a second here. Alright, and I will just post up the challenge rule set. Oh boy. Yeah, I'll see what I can do about that. Huh. And it's not letting me pin the message, go figure. Oh, and it's, if it says... that, then, Okay, well, we'll see if that changes it. And there we go. We'll see how that does. Okay, so we'll be doing a challenge run this time around. Just basically trying to compensate for the fact that they decided not to give us a master mode. There'll be no fast travel. Glider will be acceptable, just because it is such a fundamentally important part of the play style. But all food must be eaten immediately after cooking or else sold. Raw ingredients can only be eaten when not in combat, and potions may be held indefinitely and used in combat. That means basically potions are the only option for when you are in combat, but all other healing has to be done outside of battle. That's going to hopefully encourage a lot more use of campfires and Zonai cooking pots. And only the initial battery is going to be available. No
People
battery
have been falling ill
upgrades.
after coming into contact with the gloom drifting through.
And then also, as noted, we'll only be upgrading armor to level 2 in order to get the set bonuses. So hopefully the way that this should play out, we'll see if I end up encountering any flaws in the system that I proposed. But hopefully what will end up working out is I'll be encouraged to actually get hearts in addition to stamina. And due to the requirement that essentially I need to have my feet on the ground in order to eat or imbibe potions, which means that I'm not going to be able to just use stamina, food, or potions in order to glide ridiculous distances. That was one of the things. I recently had done a run where I just had essentially the 4 starting hearts that are kind of required as part of the gameplay. And while I was going through that, I discovered that as a result of the mechanism that makes it so that you can't really get one-shot by anything other than certain super enemies like Lionels and Hinoxes and the like. I would take a single hit from a powerful enemy and, you know, it would bring me down to like a quarter heart or something.
You are not hurt, are you, Link?
And the silly thing with that was that I could just eat a meal that wouldn't even have to be a very strong one. You know, it could be just something like 2 tomatoes that had been cooked, and that's going to completely refill your health. And then when you're at full health, then you can tank a hit from even white-level enemies without an issue. So it actually made combat pretty trivial.
What is that?
But by not fast traveling, it should make a lot of the exploration a lot more engaging and interesting. especially dealing with the Sky Islands. Getting out of the depths will be interesting, because it's going to require finding ascension platforms or using some other similar means of getting back out. That is one of the funny things about just hot air balloon because there's a certain threshold when you cross over it, the game just despawns most objects. So you can actually try to ride a balloon out of the depths, but then your balloon ends up despawning.
Easily against my power cannot save you from me.
That a little bit better?
Carries that fragile sword. A link. Raru placed his faith in you. And
Okay.
that was all you could do.
How do you know our names?
But yeah, in any case, there are those certain points in the depths where there's sort of like a column of sorts that you're able to use Ascension on in order to get out. And those will be what I'm going to end up having to use in order to actually get out of the depths. Which will be interesting because I am going to be trying to get auto build as quickly as I can. As goodness knows, that makes all of the construction so much faster and easier. Sort of the goal once I get off of the Great Sky Islands is going to be just making a beeline for getting the glider, because that's going to allow me to actually activate the towers in order to get up to the Sky Islands in various locations. And then immediately taking care of some of the stuff in the depths with like getting the camera, and then you can't get the sensor plus until after beating one of the regional phenomena. So I'll be going for, of course, the Wind Temple as the first one of those. Okay. It is kind of funny with starting up a fresh game, what things they'll let you skip and what things they won't. Yeah, me too, basically, just with this beginning bit, because, you know, of course, with this playthrough, it is not my first time, and for those who haven't played it and are, you know, not spoiler averse or anything, but nevertheless, you know, might end up playing it at some point, then, you know, I don't necessarily want to spoil anything, even for those who don't care about spoilers, because it's certainly different experiencing the thing for yourself the first time versus actually doing it, or watching somebody else do it. So when it comes to all the storyline stuff, I'll just be skipping right over it. This is sort of more of a technical challenge, just trying to see how these constraints impact the overall gameplay, because it does seem as though they actually designed the game to be compatible with this kind of approach. People doing what's essentially like a Pokemon Nuzlocke, but for Tears of the Kingdom. There are a lot of design elements that they didn't need to do the way that they did unless they had intended for people to have those options. Alright. Let's get down to business. Imagine not knowing what a tree branch is. Talk about childlike wonder. Just being like, what is that? Yep, the Huns and everyone else. Now we'll wait until we actually get a better stick in order to make use of that. Mysterious fruit. Never seen one of those before. It is just one of those things that always made me kind of chuckle a little bit, because it's like, obviously, you know, it's just the game indicating that you haven't come across one of them before yet in-game, but the idea of Link just not knowing what a wooden stick or an apple is just so funny to me. Oh, that's right. I don't even have fuse yet, so we'll just hold on to that for now. So what happens when you're so used to playing much further in? It was a little bit funny that the Tears of the Kingdom Switch didn't have the Purapad patterns on it. Given the fact that it's like literally a Switch. I'm sure somebody's made like 3D printed shells or something like that that you would be able to put on there in order to give it that appearance, though. Like, don't get me wrong, the actual pattern that they did produce looks really nice, and I'm glad that we have that as an option, but it is just kind of weird, you know, like, or at least just make it so that they could have had, in addition to the limited edition OLED model, they could have had standalone Joy-Cons that were patterned in that way. You have to wonder just how long that apple was sitting in that pot. Like, I don't know, man. Seems kind of risky to go and eat an apple that you find sitting in a pot in like an ancient area. Like, I don't know, maybe the construct put it there or something, but I'm guessing it is wrinkly like the face of a babushka. Alright, spank that guy. It's so bizarre the way that the birds here give you red meat. It's certainly an interesting design choice to end up going that route. I've never really had very good luck with getting this to actually take these guys out like it's clearly intended to. Yeah. That sort of thing just always ends up happening instead. Yeah. No good. So we'll just have to do it the usual way. just go grab his stick. Ouch. Ah, dang it. You know what? We'll go with the long stick now. There we go. So, no healing in combat. But now that we're out of it, and now I can eat. Restock on our apples. And we'll use regular old tree branches as much as we can until there is a larger supply of quality sticks. I am at least a lot closer now to having that all filled up. Boop. So, because that was toasted, I had to immediately eat it. Can't carry it around in my inventory. Just like actual food, you're not just gonna carry a plate of mushrooms or something around in your pocket. The fresh ingredients you might be able to carry, but the full cooked meal, it's just gonna get nasty in a bag or something like that. So that's why we are doing it with that system. Should make it so that we are only able to use potions for healing in the middle of combat. And the challenge there is that there's actually very few non-food healing items. Basically, you have to either use fairy elixirs, which are not a great use of fairies, or you're going to need to use hardy potions, and the only way in order to get those is hardy lizards, which are really quite scarce. So there will be very little in-combat healing, and it's only going to be done at essential times, like during major battles, essentially. Alright, time to start getting our powers. That'll open up a lot of possibilities. Remember, I was so nervous taking that first jump right there the first time that I played, because honestly, that is quite a height. If you try dropping from that high up, you are probably going to end up jolting your ankles pretty bad. See if we can sneak up on this guy. And of course I'm using the Pro heads-up display. I really like having to rely on listening for how much sound I'm making. and elements like that, like not actually having the map up all the time. In addition to just being a clearer appearance, it's more immersive and a little bit more realistic. Goodness knows I would love to have a mini-map in real life. Not quite the same as just using GPS on your phone. I don't think this guy's gonna look the other way. So you know what? That'll do. I'll definitely be making full use of puff shrooms in this, and a lot of sneak strikes whenever possible, just because I'm going to need to essentially play it safe in every combat scenario. But going and collecting them is going to be a challenge due to needing to use ascension spots in order to get out of the depths. There's only a total of something like 16 different places where you can ascend out. See, they let you skip the cutscene with Raru's ghost showing up the first time. They don't let you skip this one. There are a few spots that you cannot ascend out of the depths from. Fortunately, most of them you can. So I am going to need to be careful about where I end up going. It was really funny the first time that I played this, because of the fact that I immediately switched to the Pro heads-up display. The tip that shows you, or like the control scheme, essentially, that when you're actually using a certain tool that tells you the controls, I didn't realize that you could shake in order to break an Ultra Hand connection. So I went through a decent chunk of the Great Sky Island not knowing how to disconnect stuff, and I had to be just, like, really careful with how I put things together, because it was like, okay, it's just permanently like that now. Fortunately, I ended up finding the controls on how to do that, because it would have been a nightmare going through the entire game not being able to break Ultra Hand connections. Here I am furiously button mashing and knowing that it's not going to do anything. There we go. Now things will get interesting. And part of the reason why I wanted to do this challenge from the get-go was simply the fact that having been a part of the Hyrule engineering community, I have had enough experience putting together all sorts of little gizmos and crafts and stuff like that, that when you really know what you're doing with a lot of that, you can trivialize a lot of stuff in the game. And I do wish that they made it so that Sunshine, you need to go eat something. But yeah, there's just enough like schema stones and Yiga schematics and everything that fundamentally the way that they're designed is inefficient, meaning that they have an inflated part cost to them, or make use of materials that you can't carry with you, which means that you inherently are going to have to use Zonite in order to auto-build them. And I can understand why they did that. It's essentially sort of a resource tax on people who are not as good at coming up with their own more effective versions of those same designs from a functional standpoint. But it would be really nice if you could overwrite those slots as additional auto-build slots, because there are very few out of the in-game designs that I'm ever going to use because they just cost too much. So they're just a bunch of bloat, essentially. And forget exactly how many auto-build slots you have. I think it's 9. In any case, it is nowhere near enough for the number of things that I would like to have auto-build for. getting rid of? Yeah. So in the distance over here, we've got one of these floating stone blocks. The fun thing with those fellows is you can actually ride those as high as you want into the air without them despawning. They will end up wearing out if they move in a horizontal plane, but if they're moving vertically, you can go all the way up to the ceiling of the world. Okay. Good enough. But that means that just a single fan on the top of one of these guys means that you can basically get to any height that you have to in the game. And I have to feel as though that was a deliberate design choice in order to make it more viable for people to do no fast travel runs. Never have enough apples, at least until we get to the point where tomatoes are available, and then you can never have too many tomatoes. Contrary to how I feel in real life, they are in this game just the better apple. Sort of like that Daniel versus the cooler Daniel meme. There we go. I usually prefer to fish in this game using zap fruit. But of course we're not that far in just yet. I swear nobody in Hyrule knows how to properly pack a crate. Just single arrows and apples and everything. I don't really use stealth stuff too often. But I believe you have to use those for upgrading the Sheikah set. So we may as well start collecting them early. Work smarter, not harder. Now, of course, kind of a problem on the Great Sky Island is that there aren't any monster parts for me to use. So I don't think that I can actually make any potions. Nah, thieves are just too polite and open the crates gently and only take a couple things to leave some for the next guy. You happen to be the last person to take things from the crate, so you get the tail end of it all. Yeah, I suppose it would be like a take a penny, leave a penny scenario, huh? Yeet. Oh. I'm like, why isn't it open? That's why. Come on. I'm clearly hitting him in the head. There we go. Gimme. Just an opal, but you know what? I'll take it. Come on. Seems like one of the tricks for breaking open crates is letting go of them while they're still in motion. The game kind of treats it differently with letting go of one when it's still just being actively grabbed, so if it has like a little bit of extra momentum to it, then when it lets go, then that's all well and good. It'll actually, it'll break easier. Alright, you win this one. Of course, here I am just kind of wandering around. I haven't bothered to verify where my next location was that I had to go. But that's how this game goes. Not trying to speed run it. No, don't do that. There we go. Woo! 10 arrows. come across those bundles too often. Okay, so there's that one. And then one of them's over that way. Okay, I remember this area now. Yeah. So, of course, here is our first of these little guys. Okay. Just for stability's sake. We'll go ahead and do that. Uses up a little bit of durability, but whatever. Meow. The hooks are, I feel, a really underutilized building component. You can do a lot of stuff with them. They're one of the few things that isn't just shaped like a stick. The actual gaps in them and everything give you a lot of options. There's a particular little speeder design that I like making using a stabilizer and a small wheel that uses those. The stabilizer goes inside the hook. Forget if there's anything actually worthwhile up here. Let's have a look. Always need more arrows. funny thing about sails is that they actually have a functioning axle on them. Some folks have been able to put together some pretty powerful flying machines of various sorts using the axle on sails. There's not a whole lot of items in the game that can actually be used in that way. And of them, they are either really heavy and have some resistance on their rotation, namely the shrine motors, or they are flammable and breakable, made out of wood, like wagon wheels, which are the most commonly used one. Of course, here's where we get our first big sticks. I'm actually happy to see chews here. Oh, you know what? That's right. Because of the fact that there's chews, that means that I'll be able to make potions using those bits. But chew jelly, in and of itself, is a really useful material for a lot of builds because it is destructible. There's a certain number of constructions that people have made that use like clay pots and stuff like that in order to create timed mechanisms that are activatable, but you can't just carry those around, so like people were auto building them and stuff. Well, you can just use chew jelly instead, and that's something that sits in your inventory. It's actually so funny to me. I'm remembering how tedious and annoying all this puzzle stuff was for me, and I love, love, love that the puzzle and engineering stuff is the bane of my existence, but it's what you enjoy the most. I just want to hit stuff and make pretty outfits and collect and name horses. Yeah, that is completely valid, and that is why you were actually a major inspiration for me when it came to the designs that I liked coming up with in the engineering community, because I know that you are not the only person like that. And even though you really didn't use many of the designs that I came up with anyway, it was nevertheless something where just that attitude was something that I found personally a good inspiration. Out of combat, so I can eat that, no problem. But yeah, there's all sorts of really complicated engineered solutions that people came up with for all sorts of tasks. But really, a lot of the stuff that you end up seeing on stuff like YouTube videos and stuff like that just are not really game practical. And just as a result, I don't know, it's something where if a design isn't actually useful, yeah, there's fun in just coming up with stuff, but I really like it when it solves real problems. And I wanted to make as many designs as possible in a way that it made use of the game's built-in snap points, didn't require a lot of fiddling. Because, you know, stuff like the Goblin Glider or Hover Bike, those are really great, but they're kind of a pain in the butt in order to build a perfect one. There are methods that you can use in order to facilitate that process, namely, there's a certain procedure you can go through with disabling motion controls in order to make it so that you're able to keep things lined up perfectly straight. But it's just a royal pain in the butt in order to actually make a perfect example of those flying machines. So I've got a few different arrangements that I ended up coming up with that are really good early game uses for wings and mostly hot air balloons. Because the biggest problem with the hot air balloons and the wings is just the fact that they despawn so quickly, whereas stuff like the fans have a 30-minute use time before they end up despawning. Whereas I think you get closer to something like 30 seconds with a wing, and 2 minutes, I think, with a hot air balloon. And so actually finding a way to make those useful involved a combination of the two of them, because the way that things work with wings, people ended up discovering, is essentially the wing only wears down when it is actively providing lift. And because of that, you can use the hot air balloons with their longer duration to offset the period during which the wing is providing lift, because the wings have a number of useful properties to them that make it so that builds that they are attached to, you don't just get the additional lift out of the wing, you also get a reduction in the speed at which they drop, and then also the steering capabilities actually see an enhancement, which is kind of interesting. It's not directly the result of something like a steering stick. It's actually, like, legitimately it gives a boost to the steering capabilities. So there are a number of circumstances where people would legitimately want to make use of a wing in a given build, but they just couldn't get around that particular issue. And now, of course, people have figured out how to steal the wing from a particular minigame that has an unlimited durability to it, so it never runs down. But stealing it is a really big pain in the butt. It's just not something that I would ever want to bother with doing. Because, like, yeah, it's neat that you can do that, but unfortunately one of the issues that the game has also is just that there isn't really a good option for... Oh, come on. There isn't really a good option for storing a lot of your creations. They'll end up despawning on you for a variety of reasons, not the least of which is just entering a shrine. So if you end up doing shrines a lot, then, you know, you could have a build that you would put together that was made using actual parts, not auto-built. And it's really cool, and you want to keep it, but too bad. You can't, because you accidentally, you know, go into a shrine, and you end up losing whatever that item was. It just completely disappears. One of the things that I wish that they had done was make it so that we could have a Zonai ability that, rather than the map button on the wheel, it would have been nice if they had something that was like a pocket garage. Like, if they don't want to keep track of your complicated build while you're in a shrine, they could have at least made it so that you had sort of like an interdimensional pocket that you could just stick one assembly into in order to just take it back out when you were back out again. Because some people would end up spending, you know, a tremendous amount of time putting together a very exacting build of some sort, only to be extremely limited in where they could use it, especially if it used original parts. Because that is one of the drawbacks of anything that you auto-build, is it's just ugly as sin. And yeah, maybe in the next game. One of the things that was a little bit disappointing was them saying that, you know, they had essentially, quote-unquote, done everything that they could think of doing in this game, and personally, I don't think that's true. I think that what had actually happened was that, with the intention of the Switch's successor coming out, you know, in the relatively near future, they probably didn't have the time in order to work on DLC for this game. It was probably a circumstance where basically the entire dev team was reallocated to working on the next game, because it was like, okay, you know, we're going to need to have whatever the next system is. And until they get the next game out of the way, then, you know, it's something where people are going to be like, okay, where is it? What is it going to be? It is really funny how they did go through the trouble of making a lot of Zonai aesthetic versions of certain parts and weapons, including things like the tree branches. Like, it's literally a whole different texture, depending on if it's, you know, a Sky Islands branch or one from the ground level. But they didn't bother with making Zonai versions of rusty swords. I don't know, it just seems kind of odd. Because, like, you look at this thing, and, like, that hilt, that is not a Zonai look. But Whoops. That's not what I wanted to do. There we go. Don't want that on fire. Okay. Well, actually, whip up a few potions here, since I've got the chew jelly. Of course, basically the only thing that I can do right now is some stamina recovery and speed up. Can do stealth with these guys, but I'm holding on to those for upgrades later. Yeah. These will be really helpful, but not nearly as much as they would be in a normal playthrough. Just from the standpoint that I'm only going to be able to make use of these while I'm on the ground. Oops. So I am not going to be able to use the stamina elixirs while I'm gliding in the air. Now, if I'm on something like a flying machine or something like that, then as long as I'm standing on it, then I would be able to use one of the elixirs. But it's basically a sort of the idea that if I couldn't actually manage it in real life, then I'm not going to do it. And I wouldn't be able to try drinking an elixir while dealing with something like paragliding, you know? Like, you're just not going to be able to do it. Not reasonably, anyway. Our first bubble frog. Aw, yeah. Ruby, 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 ruby. Alright, now that we've got a hammer class again. TBH, I'm not going to try to eat half of the things you're capable of eating in this game anyway. Yeah, completely fair. The fact that you can technically cook up rocks into food It's like, I guess, Link is a chicken or something. Has to refill his crop or what have you. Okay, there you go. Like, come on down. Always need eyeballs and wings. There we go. Iconic outfit get. I need so many eyeballs and wings. Yeah, same. They are probably my most frequently used fuse items, just because they really make things so much more convenient. Anytime that I end up walking over towards the mouth of a cave during the daylight, I'll have a bomb fused to an arrow ready to go, because you can just about guarantee that you're going to end up with a swarm of keys coming out of it, and that's like your prime opportunity in order to load up on them. Okay. I'm gonna need a lot of wood in this run also. The minute Astra told me just use an eyeball fused to an arrow to take down a Hinox changed my life. I saw the light. Yep, absolutely. This makes it so you aren't doing nearly as much panic aiming. Of course, they make the spacing just a little too far. There we go. I remember that the first playthrough that I did, I ended up getting myself stuck here, sort of, because I had set these in a way where I could jump down, but I couldn't actually get back up. So I had to climb up the right-hand side here, which was just like a huge pain in the butt, because you don't have a whole lot of stamina at this early on point. So I do like to, at this point, really play it safe when it comes to how low I end up going. Ping. Hey, Astra. How's it going? Ah. Oh, okay, first death. But yeah, great to see ya. I'm glad you were able to catch this. Do you mean my volume? Or do you mean the game itself? I had turned it down, because Sunshine was saying that it was a little bit on the loud side. Granted, that was during a cutscene. Oh, come on. Well, this was part of the challenge. Gonna need to play it safe. You know what? Ooh, that was close. Okay, I'll see what I can do to adjust my volume. I am talking a little bit quietly, but let's see. That any better? Okay, now that I'm out of combat, I can actually eat. We'll just down a whole bunch of these guys. Oh, no. Of course, since I died, it ended up moving where all those blocks were back to their original position, so that'll be fun. Guess I get to climb up here. Yeah, see? You just can't get it. So, given that, I am going to have to use this approach. Oh. There we go. Chop down a bunch of these guys. There we go. Oh. Korok Frond. Kind of funny that it took that long in order to come across one. Huh. Well, I do have my my levels in OBS at their max. But like I said, I am speaking a little bit quietly. Is just sort of my tendency. But yeah, I'll probably just need to end up downloading like an audio mixer utility or something like that if I want to raise it above that point. Alright, maybe I can use this in order to reach one of those. We'll see. Yeah. Oh, whoops. That was almost a problem. Of course, the first thing that I always end up sinking my light orbs into is stamina. So I am used to having much, much more. What'd you do that for? Just playing with your powers. Just pressing buttons. Yeah. Okay. So now that I've got that built, all of these can be made more useful. Like I said, I'll probably be going through a decent amount of that. Oh, whoops. That's why you use that activation method. Forgot that I still had my axe out. You know what, though? It's just another log. Oh, come on. There we go. Yeah, I don't think I've actually got anything that is completely safe for me to use for activation, so I'll just use an apple. That'll be good enough. Imagine having that kind of grip strength. Like, wow. Okay, let's see. Okay, I actually don't think that I need anything. We should be good then. Gotta get the arrows. Never too many arrows. There we go. Geez, already up to 84 arrows, actually. We're going to need lots of Zonai charges. For a number of reasons. Alright. Get out of here. But yeah, because of the fact that I won't be upgrading my battery at all, that means that crystallized charges are going to go towards mostly buying large Zonai charges. Or rather, my large Zonite, I mean, is going to go towards that, rather than crystallized charges. Those are basically just going to sit around. It's kind of funny, I never noticed that the frogs will get freaked out by the monsters also. They were just trying to run away. Okay. Out of combat. Poor Froggy's getting spooked. Yeah. Nobody taught those choo-choos not to spook frogs. It's not polite. Okay, but small choo-choos are better than big ones because they're cuter. Agreed. When the big ones have the exact same eyes to them, it's a little bit eerie. Ooh. Yeah. There we go. I'm a little bit rusty, but I've still got it. Oops. Another opal. Now, I'm not sure if I'll actually get all the way through the Great Sky Island on this stream, but I'm hoping to at least get close. I do want to be as thorough as possible, at least, though, while I'm here, because the way of getting back up here without fast traveling is a little bit of a pain. LOL, I booted up the game after a while and only finished the intro cutscene. Yeah, just not wanting to have to get all the way back through all of it can be a little bit of a deterrent, for sure. There we go. Something kind of funny that I ended up discovering. I don't think that anyone before me, at least in the engineering community, had discovered it before I did. If you take small wheels and you stick them on either side of one of these mine carts, then it will move you up and down tracks, even though the wheels themselves are not actually contacting the rail. Of course I have bright bloom seeds. For me, it's all the puzzles and building. Yeah, fortunately for me, I do enjoy those. But certainly that aspect isn't for everyone. There's a lot of reasons to love these games, but it's not universal. And I do love the fact that there can be a little something for everybody. If people just want to do the exploration element for the most part, then they are able to. And there are very few circumstances, granted some, but very few circumstances where you are required to do building. And the puzzles, for the most part, are relatively straightforward. Goodness knows I am going to need plenty of that. I do find it kind of annoying that there isn't a reliable way to destroy bright bloom seeds. Like, it would be nice if you could, like, burn them or something on purpose. I mean, like, I know that they want you to be able to use them in places that are flaming heat, but when you accidentally drop one in the middle of Terrytown and you have to, like, literally, the game holds onto records of something like 300 bright bloom seeds. And so, like, the only way in order to get them to disappear is by throwing down that many of them. And so when you end up putting one in a stupid location by accident, then it's just obnoxious. After a while, I just lost all use of Bright Bloom and just wondered, what do I even do with them now? Yeah, I mean, like, certainly they're great in the depths for a variety of reasons, but, like, once you get enough of the just enough of the light roots activated, then they kind of stop having as much of a purpose to them. Granted, they are at least more useful than the Zonai lights are, because the power consumption of those things is astounding, and their light output isn't that great either, so it's like, what is even the point of them? Really, the most useful applications that I was able to find for the Zonai lights is is as, like, a closure for hooks, or as a snapping point for certain builds. The reversible fan mechanism that I developed in the Hyrule engineering community can be made to make use of snapping points really nicely by using a light, and you can adjust the direction that it spins by changing how you have it constructed, and using a light really makes it easy for you to get good pressure against um, against the wagon wheel that's used. But yeah, just very, very limited applications where they are actually useful. But yeah, I discovered right here, actually, that putting small wheels on either side, you can actually climb up this entire thing just with the small wheels on it, no fan. For as large of an area as this place is, they did a surprisingly good job of making it relatively linear. Because, of course, this is supposed to all function as sort of your tutorial area, and it's surprisingly difficult to sort of sequence break this whole region. I can't remember, does light work against the hands? No, it doesn't. Gonna go for now, but great checking in. Thanks for stopping in. I'm really glad that you were able to be here and catch some of this. And I'll talk to you later. But yeah, that's kind of the obnoxious thing, is that sunlight through one of the mirror reflector devices will blind enemies, but the zone eye lights are not bright enough to do that. If they were, then they would be so much more tremendously useful. But as it stands, the light output versus the power consumption is really stupid. Like, they actually use as much energy as a big wheel does. So especially when you've got such a limited part count. You know, only 21 connected pieces at maximum. Then it's typically not a part that you're going to want to use. Just as a reminder for anybody who is joining in only now, the rules of the challenge are these. So, no fast travel, the glider is okay, food has to be eaten immediately after cooking, or cooked and then sold. Yeah, essentially just like actual food would be. And raw ingredients, and due to the way that they're used, food items can only be eaten out of combat. Potions can't be used while gliding, but you can use them when both feet are on the ground, or Link has both hands free, essentially. And I will not be upgrading my battery, And armor will only be upgraded to the 2nd level in order to get there we go. In order to get the set bonuses. Ah, come on. There we go. Yes, the ultimate goal here is to essentially DIY a master mode of sorts. And because of my experience in the engineering community for this game, I kind of wanted to see, just how far could I push things in terms of placing those constraints on myself and trying to use as many creative solutions as possible in order to tackle stuff instead of the usual manner. Boom. Alright. Now we can continue. Gotta get all the goodies. Oh, yeah. Better top myself off. Oh, yeah, with this particular challenge, then I will be encouraged to actually get extra hearts. Before this one, I had done a challenge run where I was using only the 4 hearts that you start off with. Oh no! Oops. Didn't mean to do that, obviously. But I had started off with just doing, only the hearts that you basically start the game with, and that was a challenge initially, but then I realized very quickly that because of the way that you can't end up getting one-shot by a lot of enemies if you just have full health, it was really kind of trivial, really, in order to just kind of game that system and just top off my health every single time that that I ended up actually taking damage. Of course, I don't have all my abilities yet. There we go. This will be kind of interesting, because I don't have Ascend yet. That'll be the next one, and I don't have Recall. Oops. And yes, too easy to cheese it. There we go. There we go. I thought that was going to be a problem for a minute there. Okay. We'll roast some stuff. Now that I'm out of combat. Oops. One of those rolled a little too far off. Yeah, I have to eat these immediately. Appointment starting soon, so if I disappear, that's why. Yep, that'll be fine. I'm just glad you were able to be here as long as you were. Okay, that one's actually used up a little bit, so you know what, we'll do it with that one. And eat those right away. Even though I was full, I have to eat it. Made a slight misjudgment in my usage. Okay, now we're finally getting into the cold area. Boom. Get down here, you. It is kind of funny being so early in the game that I don't have powerful enough bows in order to take those guys down in just one hit. So it's not like they have a lot of health or anything. So used to just shooting them once, and that's kind of the end of it. Alright. Time to make some toasty food. Now, the interesting thing here being that because of the restrictions on having to eat it right away, I'm basically going to have to use it, or to prepare meals, rather, in as long of a duration as possible. Because I am against the clock now. There we go. And, if I end up running out in the middle of battle, then it's going to be a potential issue. Because then I'll actually end up having the cold doing a whole bunch of damage to me, and I won't be able to heal until I'm out of battle. Ooh, no you don't. Whew. And there we go. I want to fight Lionels and Gleeoks. Yeah, it's going to take me a while before I'll be able to go up against them. And I need some better gear for that. Fortunately, I won't be coming across them for a while either. This guy. Gotta go now, have so much fun. Will do, and have a good appointment. Okay. Good, good, good. There we go. Flame Emitter Club. I think we can get rid of this guy in exchange for that. Alright, first bomb flowers. Alright, you. Get down here. Ah, there we go. Best to get all of these while I'm here. Oh, yeah. Run over here and get this. Can't leave loot unlooted. Even though I don't think I ever really made much use of amber for anything other than upgrades. There we go. That's how we do it. And if I remember correctly, there's another one of those guys up here. So we'll need that. There. Okay, nice. Okay, still have like 7.5 minutes left on my cold resistance. We'll see if I can make my way over to the shrine as quickly as possible. Oops. If I remember correctly, there is a stripe of scalable wall on this. Ah, yeah. There we go. These guys can be a little bit tough at this, Ow. At this stage of the game. Oh, yep. There we go. We'll try that again. Okay, 649. Okay. Well, at least I know that the stripe to scale is over here now. And these guys really don't like being on fire. Ow. Got hung up on that wall. Nope. That's what I get for being overconfident. I'll get it, though. that strategy wasn't working out as well as I was hoping it would. Come on. There we go. No. Okay. Well, don't I feel silly? I keep going in for that extra attack when I shouldn't be. Yep. Just keep on being worried about getting shot while I sit and wait. But you know what? It is doable. And the horns on these guys are really important for one of the armor set upgrades later on, and they can actually be a little bit tricky. Oh. Okay. Nope. Oh, come on. One more to the count, I guess. I just need to use my darn shield. Ah. Okay. That one's down. Oh, come on. Got hung up on stuff. You know what? This is me getting back into the hang of it. I always actually find the timing with blocking or parrying the constructs weirdly difficult, and it's mostly because of the fact that they have such a bizarrely long wind-up. I always think that they're going to swing sooner than they actually do. Come on. Got him. Almost. may as well go for the big guy here. I'm having more trouble with this particular spot than I would have expected. I don't remember it being this much of a challenge, but... Okay. There we go. About time. Oops. There we go. Okay. Okay. Think that'll do. But time to mosey along. Switch back over to a weaker weapon. Save that one. I know there's a cooking pot back there, so if I wanted to, I could technically cook up some more peppers, but I think I'll be able to make it without too much trouble. I just need to not fall in the icy water. Okay. And up we go. If I remember correctly, the shrine should be right at the top here. And then we should be getting the... Yes, there we go. Yeah, right after this shrine, we should be getting the cold weather pants right up there. I can just run on over here. And this'll be Ascend. remember if the chest that's here actually has anything useful in it. No. No, it does not. No problem. Okay. There we go. And that does it. Another one down. Yeah, and I still have a couple of minutes of cold resistance left. I'm a little bit worried that I'd probably get out of that shrine and not have any remaining. But no, plenty of time to spare. Pants time. And I am going to want to load up on these. Because the portable pots are going to be kind of invaluable for efficient healing. And of course I'll get plenty of use out of the rest of it also. Okay. Those. And those. A few more. Boom. Let's see what we got over here, huh? Maybe something nice. Maybe. Yes. Nothing else? Or... yeah. Oh. What did he do? Thought there would be a little something more over here. Oh, nice. Okay. Now... I don't have recall yet. But that works too. And then we can ascend from this support pillar. Now, getting all the way back up, oops. Getting all the way back up to the next shrine is going to be kind of interesting. Mostly from the standpoint that the game normally wants you to warp there, but we are not going to do that. That means that we're going to need to use one of those fans of ours and one of the big old blocks. That is not what I meant to do. Well, tell you what, I'm going to call it there for now. And we'll pick up on this later. Thanks for watching.